Let's spend some time looking at an overview of Bandura's observational learning theory. It's a really popular learning theory which the exam board like, and it's quite likely that it will appear in some form or other as one of your questions. So please ensure you take the time to get your head around Bandura's observational learning theory. So there's two ways that we can look at this particular theory. There's two ways that we can tackle this theory, and two ways in which I think we could perhaps be examined in the exam with this. First of all, we need to know what the observational learning theory is, and I'll take you through that in separate videos just now. But also, please be aware that it's quite likely that you will be asked in a question how a coach could use the observational learning theory or his or her knowledge in order to promote learning. And so we are going to be looking at this from the eyes of a coach. And I want you to imagine that you are a coach and how you would demonstrate that learning, you would demonstrate that knowledge of observational learning theory through the way in which a coach would carry out. A little bit of background then about the observational learning theory. This came about from a scientist called Albert Bandura, and he did some experiments with children watching the behavior of adults, in particular with a Bobo doll, which is a blown up doll, and he had young children looking at the way in which the Bobo doll was being treated. Sometimes it was being treated nicely and kindly, and other times it was being hit and punched and kicked. And he drew his conclusions about the observational learning theory based upon what he had observed. And so his main thoughts on the observational learning theory were these: that we learn by observing other people. And if you think about your own learning of motor skills through your when you were younger, through your coaches and your PE teachers, quite often your coach or PE teacher would have given you a demonstration. So we learn by observing others, and that learning then takes place because we imitate or copy the behavior of other people. And if those other people are of a high status, or we refer to it as being a significant other, like a coach or a PE teacher, or someone who has high status, as I say, then we're more likely to copy that behavior. And also, if that behavior is then reinforced, if there's reinforcement, positive reinforcement present, then again we are more likely to continue to carry out and copy and imitate that behavior. On the left-hand side there, you can see the 4 steps that are involved with the observational learning theory. They're attention, retention, motor reproduction, and motivation. We're going to look at each one of those individually in a moment, but the key thing, whenever you have a question on observational learning, you must include these 4 points.